Notice that when you're at the ground level, you never knew what was surrounding where you were hiking. You go up about 1,000-foot level, then you see there is a lake next to it. You never noticed it before. Then, when you get up to the summit, maybe 3,000-foot level or even 10,000-foot level, the lake has now become small and the trees are like small specks. And you wonder, how is this got to do with public speaking or impromptu speaking? Perspective changes how you view things. It is very different, and I will show you how you could use that in your impromptu speaking, or if somebody asks you a question and you have different perspectives. If we have never met before, I'm Deepthi Rao, and I'm here to help you master your impromptu speaking skills and build your confidence. Subscribe to this channel so you will know when I go live. And I do this live twice a month. And when you're doing impromptu speaking, the best thing is practice. And I invite you to come on this live so you can see how I practice this, and also you get a chance to practice if you're willing to come online. So I started out with hiking. How does this relate to public speaking or impromptu speaking? So if somebody asks you a question and you want to tell them, I don't have like a straight answer, but I have 3 different answers, you could use this technique. You could say, when I'm at ground level, this is what I see and this is how I think. When I'm at the second level, this is how I see it and this is why I think that when I am at 1,000-foot level, that's what I think is the right thing. So as you have either been following me on this live show or you've watched the replays, you've seen that I've shared some frameworks. I've shared 4 frameworks so far, and this one is slightly related to the timeline framework. In timeline framework, if you've not watched that, go watch that. I've linked it here, or you can see in the description below. In the timeline framework, you tell somebody a perspective of when I was young, when I was just starting, or when I'm in the future. So that's a slightly different, it's like on your own personal, based on a time. But how about if it's not just based on time, it's based on where you are or which role you assume? That could be something different. So how would you use this perspective framework? This is what I call zoom in and zoom out framework. What do I mean by this? So you could start with what I described as a 100-foot level, where you're at ground level, and then you go up to 1,000-foot level and what your view is. And then you could say what at 10,000-foot level, what your view is. So if I could give you an example of what that is. So let's say somebody asks you, oh, do you like the autumn season, the fall season where the colors are beautiful? This is how I would use. When the fall season comes in, I so love the colors. I can't believe that nature can do these beautiful colors. And the canvas is like so wide. And I enjoy watching the leaves go from green to orange, purple, yellows, and reds. It's amazing to see it. As a homeowner with 3 trees in my front yard, I know that it looks beautiful on the tree. But when it falls, I have a different perspective. I don't like that because I start cleaning, raking the leaves. And as I rake one side, before I go to the next side, new leaves are already there. So it feels like an endless chore. And from that perspective, I don't really like it. But when I look at it at a bigger picture, when I zoom out a little more, I see how nature is playing its role. The leaves that fall on the ground are actually things that other insects, other animals use. And it's a great thing that even though it's beautiful and it's annoying when as a homeowner I have to clean it, but in nature there is a role. So I have mixed emotions about fall season. And this is where I stand. I like it on the trees. I like it that it helps nature, but as a homeowner, I don't like it. So you see how I did that? I went from a big picture to what I see, and then even further down saying, in the final end, it does play a bigger role. So this is how you would use it. There are many instances where you could use this. So another example I can think of, let's say you meet somebody at a social gathering. It's a new contact you made. And they ask you, so what do you do? You could say, I work in this company which is working on nuclear energy. And this is the role that I play. That is at the very macro level. But you might then say, this is what I do, but I'll tell you how this, within the region I am in, how this plays a role. We are using this energy to get off the dependence on fossil fuels. And this is how we think it's going to be implemented, and this is how everybody is going to see a difference. And then you go wider and say, at a global level, there are still issues that have to be addressed about the nuclear reaction and how safe it is, how secure it is. So there are bigger challenges. And as you see, that's from a very high perspective, that's what you see as being nuclear energy. So when you do that, the person says, oh, this person is working in this field and this is how it relates. So you see, you could use this in different occasions, in different situations, different scenarios. And I've showed where you could go from the 1,000 foot as the macro level, the micro level, to a larger level. You could also zoom out. You could start at a bigger level and then go into the small area. There are many occasions where you might want to use this. It could be even when you have a job interview and you're asked about something. So, what was the most challenging thing or most challenging project you worked on? And you could start at the 10,000 foot level and say, this is what I was working on, and our servers were not very stable, and that's where we were. And then you can go down narrow as what it was, and then at the 100-foot level, you are telling them what you were doing. So you see, you went from a big picture down into the small. So you could use this, and it's very effective because you're helping the person figure out, like, how it starts from a big perspective to what you did. And it's very helpful because to the interviewer, it gives them an idea of what the big picture was, the perspective, and what your role was, even though it might have been a small role, how it was crucial in the big project or the whatever challenge that was being faced. So it helps in explaining to a person, and it actually walks them down the path. And once you start using this, you will realize that, hey, I could show somebody how, uh, as even as a person on an everyday level, how I could have different views. So you could say, as an employee, this is what I feel. As a spouse, this is what I feel. As a parent, this is what I feel. So, for instance, using your smartphone, as an employee, this is what I feel. As a spouse, this is how I think. And as a parent of small kids, how I feel. It could be different, and you can have different opinions. And this shows that you're not boxed into one particular opinion, and you have different opinions and why, and you can give them the rationale as to why your opinion is different based on what role you're assuming at that particular moment. So once you learn this technique, you'll start understanding, oh, this is a great way to do it. This is how I can say I am not a singular person. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with having multiple perspectives. So you can say, I have this, I have that, and I have this other one. So in this framework, which I call zoom in and zoom out, you start with either from the 100-foot level or the 10,000-foot level, and then you give them your opinion or your perspective at different levels. And ideally, they have to be not very similar, but slightly different. If it's the same, you can't be like, when I'm wearing this particular hat, it's different when I'm at the beach. This, it has to be slightly different in a way where it is not the same condition. So, as I've always done, I will demonstrate how to do this. And generally, I would do it under 3 minutes, anywhere over 30 seconds and under 3 minutes. That's generally the time where you can hold somebody's attention. Once you start doing more than 3 minutes, that means you've lost that person's attention. So, I'm going to talk about what's a good topic. I will say I'm going to talk about how plastic plays a role in our life, or how it threatens our future existence. Plastic is a great thing. I can't believe we exist with that. As a consumer, as a person who goes and buys things from the store, I find it very effective in helping keep the produce or whatever I'm buying safe. On a personal level, I make sure I reuse the disposable plastic, either whether it's a bag or a box, multiple times. I make sure that I also, if at all possible, find places that I recycle it. You won't believe how many single-use plastic boxes I have that I'm holding on to, waiting for the day when I can recycle them very in a perfect way. But when I think of it from a company making these, they need this. They need to do this in order to prevent, let's say it's tomatoes I'm buying. It'll get squished if it's not in that box. But isn't it the responsibility as a company also to be reducing and looking for ways to reduce this? As a company, do I not have a responsibility to put in more R&D into creating something that is as flexible and as effective as plastic, but is not so harmful to our planet? On a bigger picture, as a whole, what are we doing? Why do we do this? Why can't we reduce plastic? Isn't there a better way to do it? At a global level, we are not only destroying our planet, we are also affecting many other things. And our future is not so safe. But how do we do it? What are the solutions? How do we all get on the same page and do it? Plastic is something that stays way beyond our lifetime. If we don't get a handle on it, plastic will be all that will be left. There'll be no life forms, only plastic. I don't want that. How do we solve it? So you see there how I took 3 minutes to go from, as a consumer, what I like about plastic, as a company, what I think about plastic and why we are still not there, and as a community, as the global community, why is it that we are not able to solve? So I have different opinions, and I was able to place each of them. And ideally, I would have given 1 minute for each perspective. But sometimes you cannot time it. There may be some things that you want to talk more. But again, it comes with practice. And as you see, I had not thought about this. I just came up with this idea of what I wanted to talk about. And I didn't take too much time because I have opinions, and that was my perspective and what I shared. And as I've done before, I'm now going to take a random prompt and take maybe about 10-15 seconds to think of some perspectives I have, and I will answer that. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you how I've shown you different examples already, but this is if something that you had not thought about before, but when you're on the spot and somebody asks you and you want to answer, how do you use this? And I will show you how you can very quickly come up with ideas on, in a sense of, on most things. There are some things you may not be able to, because I gave you the example of the nuclear energy. I'm not a physicist. I'm not a nuclear scientist, so I don't know the details of it. So if it is something very about a particular subject that I'm not aware of, I may not be able to use this technique. But in general, if it is something that you have something to say or you know about it, you could use this. So let me quickly check if there is anything on the chat. Okay, there is nothing. So since I'm doing this all on my own, I have to take time to check different windows. And so let me look at the prompt. Okay, so there are two prompts here. By the time a man realizes that his father was right, he has a son who thinks he's wrong. I'll go with the first one, but because I'm a woman, I will switch it to by the time a woman realizes her mother was right, she has a daughter who thinks she's wrong. By the time a woman realizes that her mother was right, she has a son who thinks, or she has a daughter who thinks she's wrong. You know, when I was growing up, my mom used to tell me things that I did not like. For instance, there were some traditions that I had to follow, and it just annoyed me. I did not understand why she said that, and I used to clash with her a lot about how even simple things as just picking up things after you was something that kind of annoyed me. And I thought my mother was really constricting how I lived. I did not want to live that way. And I thought she was so wrong, and I thought she was so focused on looking things at a very small level. When I grew up and had my own daughter, I realized that that was part of it, part of growing up, learning how to do the chores, how to be part of a family. And then when I had my own house, I started doing things and I kept telling my daughter, and she did not realize. And I felt at that moment, the light bulb went on. I said, now I understand what my mom was telling me. I called her up and I said, hey, mom, I understand now what you were saying back then. My room was part of your house and you wanted it clean. And my mom said, oh, how did that change? I said, I did the same thing. I asked my daughter to keep her room clean. And now I understand where you're coming from. So now I know when my daughter is saying stop and she thinks I am wrong, I understand what you were saying was right. But it came to me a little bit late, but I now know why you were right. And here is why I want to say, I'm sorry that I did not realize that. See, I was able to do it in under 3 minutes, and I gave 3 different perspectives. And this was not something that I thought before. It was a little bit of a challenge to come up with exact examples without giving away some private information. So I just went a little bit abstract, but I still said, when I was young, this is what happened. And I didn't realize why my mom was right. And now I understand why she was right. It came back, correct? And this is how you would use it. And it's not challenging. And once you start practicing, you will just be able to go with it very quickly. If there's anyone who would like to join me on video, 4 things that are required if you want to join me on video. You have to be on Google Chrome because the software I'm using only works on Google Chrome. You DM me on Twitter at Art of Storytelling and I will send you a private link. You answer a randomly generated prompt in under 3 minutes. It could be anything. You don't have to use this framework that I showed. It could be anything. And the last thing is, since you're coming on the show and this video is going to live on my YouTube channel, you are in effect giving me permission to use your image and your name. So if you come on it, that means you've given me permission. So if you do not want to be on the video, just let me know so that I kind of do not put that on there. And here is what I would say, as I've always said before. If you want to get better at this, the only way you can do this is by practicing. And it doesn't have to be, as I said, you may not be comfortable coming on the live. You may want to practice this on your own. So here is my suggestion that I've previously mentioned before, is take any of these 4 frameworks I've shared with you so far and practice that. Go in front of a mirror, practice it. And if you feel like you want to be on actual video, these days almost everybody has a Zoom account. It could be a personal Zoom account. You don't have to write down, but if you want, you can write it down. When you're practicing, you can write down what you want to say and do it, talk about it on video and feel comfortable. And as you record it, watch it and see what you did right, what you did wrong, or where you could make changes. And then practice it again, because it's all in your own house. It's in your own system, so nobody gets to watch it. Record multiple videos and practice and see how you improve each time. And when you start doing this, you might even come up with different techniques. As even this one framework I shared with you today, you might have a different idea on how this could be. So use this framework and change what you do. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. And there is no shame in trying when you're trying it out. If you fail a few times, or if you kind of get tongue-tied, or you become like the deer in headlights, you're like, the video is on and you just freeze. It's okay. It's because it's just you and your Zoom screen. Nobody is watching. Nobody's there to say. And in a way, this is good if you do it on your own on the Zoom, because once you practice this like maybe 10 times, maybe 100 times even, you get so comfortable that then you can, on any other occasion when you're in public, you can use this. And as you learn this, it becomes much more easier for you to not think about it, but automatically it comes out. So let me see if there is anybody who is willing to come. I will check. I haven't seen anyone raising their hands or virtually raising their hands. So before we sign off, here is what I would say. if you don't start thinking about practicing, you will only watch me do this and you will feel like, I don't think I can do it. But here is my advice: just start. Because as humans, we are all very good at communication, and we just need to practice a way of using the skills. And in the beginning, as I said, I do this twice a month, every second and fourth Saturday. So if you subscribe to this channel, you will know, because I schedule it in advance. So you will know what I'm talking about and when it is, and you will get notified that I'm going to go live, which helps, so that kind of nudges you a little bit. And if you're just watching it, I urge you to join the live and come on the video, because it is so much more satisfying when you actually do it rather than just watching. You will feel that just agreeing and saying, okay, I'll come, is 50% of it is just showing up, right? So again, it's the showing up, and you say, okay, I'll take the sleep and I will do it. So if you're watching it live or if you're watching it on replay, next live, come on this. I have nothing to lose, and I'm not here to say it's a right or wrong. I am just giving you an opportunity to practice. And as I suggested earlier, if you let me know that you're not comfortable being on the video, you can come on video and I can see how I can edit that part out. So I want to make it as easy for you. And you're doing it at the comfort of your home. And so you can just use the audio part. You don't have to be on video. Just be prepared, come and answer a random question. Or if there is some other topic you want to talk about, has to be under 3 minutes. That's the time limit. It's anywhere between 30 seconds to 3 minutes. So just come on. Once you start doing it, it is so much fun. And the first few times, you may be here only for 30 seconds, maybe less than a minute. That's okay. That's better than zero. And you already overcome the hesitation of coming on or practicing. So I will share, I have at least 15 frameworks that I know of and I've practiced. There may be more that I keep adding to my toolkit. I'm going to share each one at each live. And sometimes I build on the previous frameworks that I've spoken about. So I will share a different framework in the next live. And I hope to see you all either on the live, or if you're watching on replay, I will be there.